Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Of tourism flows into country, and 60% of Filipinos abroad call APEC home and are responsible for 68% of the remittance back to the Philippines. APEC has also provided economic and technical and capacity assistance to various government agencies. The Philippines has hosted APEC meetings twice in 1996 and 2015. We're very happy today to also have with us Assistant Secretary Eric Tamayo, who is currently assigned the Office of the Undersecretary for Multilateral Affairs and International Economic Relations. He is also our Director General of the Philippine APEC National Secretariat. Asek Tamayo.
Asek, would you like to say something?
Thank you very much and good morning. I convey our thanks and appreciation for extending the invitation to us this morning to discuss with you the coming trip of the President to Bangkok. And this is quite significant. There are a lot of things happening in Bangkok, and we can go through them certainly in greater detail to the extent possible. But nevertheless, this is an important undertaking for each and every member of the APEC partnership. APEC is the most important non-binding multilateral and regional engagement of the Philippines. And the meeting this year represents the first gathering of leaders since the pandemic and since 2018, as mentioned earlier. And one of the key value propositions of APEC is the in-person, face-to-face meetings among the leaders. And the APEC Economic Leaders Meeting is the highlight of each and every APEC year for the last 32 years. So we look forward to positive outcomes for the President's engagement here. And certainly we will be looking forward to the positive impact of the President's visit over the next couple of years by his participation in APEC. Thank you very much.
Okay, for our first question, Ana Bajo of GMA News Online.
Good morning po. May we know lang po if President Marcos will meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin and US Vice President Kamala Harris at the sidelines of the APEC summit?
Okay, thank you very much for that. Right now, I can say that among the roster of bilateral meetings of the President, that these meetings have yet to be explored for the time being.
How about other bilateral meetings po with other country leaders po? Baka meron lang pong information.
Yes, the President is having bilateral meetings with 6 counterparts. The arrangements are still being finalized, so I am not at liberty to disclose yet at this time which economies and leaders they are. We're still finalizing the details for this.
Asek, can I add regarding the question on Kamala Harris? As you all know, the U.S. government has actually already mentioned that she will make a visit to the Philippines. The visit will be after APEC. It will be a 3-day visit, details of which will be shared in due course. The Philippines, of course, welcomes the visit of the Vice President to Manila, as it will provide another opportunity to further strengthen our engagement with the U.S. following high-level meetings in the past. She will also be joined by the second gentleman in this forthcoming visit. As I mentioned, details will be forthcoming as soon as these are available.
Okay, next question, Alvin Baltasar, Radyo Pilipinas.
Good morning po. Sir, ma'am, what specific economic issues the President will push in the APEC?
Yes, thank you very much for that. Definitely, the President will push for APEC revitalizing its role as a driver of global economic growth. If you may recall, prior to the pandemic, the Asia-Pacific region had been the significant driver of global economic growth, and this was this economic growth trajectory was disrupted by COVID-19, the pandemic. So the challenge before us is to facilitate the rapid recovery of economies from arising out of the pandemic, and also to undertake the necessary measures to also counter the disruptive forces that affect the current economic situation around the globe. So that is something that the President will push for, recalling the significant role played by APEC in driving global growth and globalization in the world.
Follow up?
Sir, follow up lang po doon sa ASEC or doon sa business meetings niya. Saan po engage yung mga businessman na makakamiting ni Pangulo doon sa Thailand?
The proposed slate of business meetings are being arranged by our Department of Trade and Industry, and additional details will be forthcoming. These are also currently being finalized by our Trade and Industry Office. Be that as it may, the President is indeed slated to meet executives of businesses based in Thailand in the hopes of attracting business and additional investment into the Philippines.
Okay, Ivan Mayrina, GMA7.
Asek Tamayo, sir. Good morning. You said you were looking forward to positive outcomes. What outcomes exactly are we hoping for?
Well, this is in the context of the challenges that we are facing around the world. If you see the economic prognosis coming from our experts, the situation, global economic situation, is indeed quite disrupting many lives and many livelihoods. And it is important for us to be able to highlight the fact that economies need to address, need to future-proof the region in responding to these disruptions, be it coming from the pandemic and other disruptions around the globe. So it is focus on the drivers of the economy, particularly on ensuring the flow and the operation of the various supply chains around the globe. The critical role of essential workers, particularly our maritime crew, is one of the things that one of the key initiatives of the Philippines in this APEC year, providing and facilitating for the safe passage of essential workers, which had been also affected, who have been affected by the pandemic. So these are just some of the key highlights that we think should be considered by economic leaders around the region.
One more, please. I understand you came from a meeting with the President. Are there any specific issues that we expect the President to push during the meetings?
So the President will be calling attention to the need to ensure food security, energy security, and also the robust response of APEC economies to the challenge of climate change, adaptation, and mitigation.
Okay, Alexis Romero of Philstar.
Is the President also expected to say something about the conflict in Ukraine, considering that the Russian leader is already is expected to attend the conference also?
Well, the President and the Philippines, we have made pronouncements in the appropriate forum on our stand in Ukraine. And we will focus our efforts in APEC in the economic issues that impact on the region. And it is certainly something that a political issue that we have made pronouncements on in other platforms and not necessarily APEC.
Okay, Helen Flores,
No, it's
Philstar. Kat Domingo.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, you mentioned that the president will be pushing for food security and energy security as well. Will he bring up deals with Russia, existing and otherwise?
Bilateral issues will not be part of the discussions in the APEC platform, although in the context of the President's advocacy on food security, of course, reference will be made on the rising prices of inputs to food, and this is something that each economy actually is concerned about, the rising inflation, and how this is impacting on our efforts to facilitate rapid economic recovery in the region. And this is something that, on energy, of course, we have seen rising prices of energy. And again, these are critical inputs and critical components of keeping the wheels of the economy running.
Sir, follow-up question. We understand that aside from the ASEAN, the APEC, and the EU-ASEAN summit in Belgium, are there any other trips lined up for the president this year or early next year?
Well, there are some already in the pipeline, but again, these are subject to additional disclosures at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Okay, last question. Other matter question.
For Yusek Garafil, Yusek, I would like to get Malacañang's comment on the UNHRC report about the alleged grave human rights violations and high number of EJK in the Philippines, particularly in the context of the campaign against illegal drugs. I think the report was referring to the previous administration. And they also recommended about the change in the way the problem of drugs is being addressed in the Philippines. Would you like to comment on this?
I think Ambassador Daza will make the response now.
The administration of President Marcos has made very clear pronouncements about the seriousness of his government in terms of human rights obligations. It has taken a very open and constructive approach to the issue of human rights, and as a manifestation of this constructive approach, no less than the Secretary of Justice has actually participated in a series of dialogues with the Human Rights Council, where he actually mentioned the reforms that are being undertaken by the government, as well as updates on cases of interest. This is to stress that, contrary to what has been mentioned about the culture of impunity, I think there has been a shift in terms of how the issue of illegal drug is actually being addressed.
Thank you, ma'am.
Attorney General.
Okay. With that, I would like again to thank Malacañang Press Corps, the DFA Press Corps, and the APEC Philippine delegation for your active participation. And also, ma'am, thank you once again to Ambassador Teresita Daza and ASEC Gerardo Tamayo. Thank you, sir. And we look forward to seeing you all in APEC in Thailand. Thank you.
Thank you.